We are going to hear from Natalie and her advice for talking about student work within the mentoring partnership. In the first part, she's going to share how she used the strategy of balancing planning conversations with new teachers to include a focus on using student evidence. Then she's going to share an example of how to help students look at their own work using checklists.
Bringing their student work, definitely bringing in samples. And I think one thing we did too a few times was like we both graded the same piece. You know what I mean? Like you grade this or you grade this, and then we would talk about it, what we noticed, what areas they weren't doing. So not just talking about, not just being like, oh, my kids aren't using transitions or my kids aren't doing this. It's more of actually bringing the work in front of you when you meet, and having that, I think, was very powerful rather than just kind of hee-hawing and, oh, my kids never do that, or, oh, it's more purposeful. It's more, here's what we both see. We both notice this. How can we change it? And then we would come back and talk about when we changed and what we saw. Sorry, the checklist was their editing checklist. Kind of like that self. I think it's like that one where it's like I had an introduction for my beginning, or I started my story off by this, and they have to say like not yet, I started to, or I did it. And so instead of them just quickly writing a writing piece and being like I'm done, like most 6 and 7 year olds do, if you don't teach into it, the checklist, instead of you every time, well, did you do an introduction, I'm always like, I want you to show me like on your checklist like that you have checked these things off and show me like where you did it. So it's more on them too, it's not just on me, having to like, oh, you didn't use transitions. It's like I can more so, and if they're even struggling to be like, oh, I did everything, I can even like circle, I want you to go back and I want you to check that. And I'll even be like, too, I want you to highlight it for me, like where you did that, sometimes. So the checklist, whatever we call it, checklist rubric, it's more so, do I have all of this in my writing? And is it still, and I still have those conversations a lot where we're like, get that checklist out, and we're constantly referring to it because we've seen the impact on kids.
Thank you, Natalie, for taking the time to share your experiences. If you would like more information about the tips and strategies Natalie mentioned, check out the book Student Centered Mentoring: Keeping Students at the Heart of New Teachers Learning.